Well, hello.
Hey.
Hello to everybody out there joining us this evening. Hello to the replay viewers, and welcome on into the Mental Health Hour, episode 13. What's going on, Gemma?
I'm cool. It's been a busy week, but other than that, I'm still here.
Still here, still kicking. Oh, so today, this evening, this afternoon for some, this middle of the night for you,
Yeah, pretty much.
we're gonna get into our second episode of living with depression. Earlier on, I think it was episode 2 actually. My very second episode, I covered living with depression. I went back and looked over that broadcast, and there was some coping and managing skills and what have you in there. Highly encouraged the replay and getting into today's episode. Hey, Troy, Franco, welcome on
Hey.
in. Getting into today's episode, I figured we'll go ahead and we'll go over some recap kind of items,
Mhm.
some signs and symptoms, and we'll also look towards maybe some new coping strategies, or basically what we can do with depression, because an overwhelming amount of the population suffers from depression. Everybody
Mhm.
feels depression in some sort. I think there are some, that come back on the censuses and what have you uh, that say they feel no depression, which that's great. More power to you. But for a wide variety of us, I think that's just not the case. Hey, Dr. John, Tracy, Bo. Bo, I'm not yellow. Or maybe I am. Maybe I'm jaundiced finally. Yeah. Yeah, jaundice. Exactly. The liver was going, so who knows? Should be healing now, though. So anyway, Gemma, you were not with us for the first episode of depression yet. So
No.
why don't we start there? What have you? Uh, what do you feel you suffer or struggle with as far as the depression side of things go? And what do you know?
Um, so I've been diagnosed with clinical depression, and I have been for quite a while. I have taken a number of antidepressants to try and help. Currently, I'm not taking any antidepressants. And that's not to say they will stay that way. We'll see. But yeah, I've certainly got quite a lot of history about getting different forms of treatment and things for depression. Um, like I think for a long time it had been building up and building up. I tried to ignore it, and to the point where I couldn't anymore. And it wasn't until a like a friend and family member said that there's something not right. You need to go to the doctors.
Mm-hmm.
Denied it for a long time. I think it was the whole label thing, because certainly when I was diagnosed, there was a huge stigma around having the label depression,
Mm-hmm.
um, which is why now I think certainly more open around that now, and this is why we're doing what we're doing to make sure that it doesn't. Because certainly when I used to mention it, and if I remember applying for a job once and it actually came up, and they were like, you know, automatically thinking that you can't do the job because you have that label then. But yeah, I'd say I've had the clinical depression diagnosis now for at least 15 years.
Mhm. Yeah, I also have the diagnosis. Uh, I fall into the major depressive disorder category. Dr. John just spoke of there. Major depressive disorder is number 2 diagnosable disorder in North America. Yes, that's where I fall. Um, and I talked a bit in the first episode I did on this way back when. I talked about how I was walking around with no clue um, about the level of depression that I was living with. Well, first of all, I didn't know I was depressed because um, it just wasn't a thought in my brain because I walk around, go through day to day life, trying to make other people laugh. I enjoy
Mm.
being part of good conversations, and I'm not life of the party, but I'm usually active, and just all around having a good time. And
Yeah.
so when I heard about this idea that I was depressed, it kind of took me by surprise. And then what really took me by surprise was when I sat down and took it was called Beck's Depression Inventory, I believe, or scale. And
Mm.
it was a 22 question inventory where you answer completely honestly. I mean, you have to be 100% honest, or it's not going to tell you anything. I mean, yes, it is one of those things that you can kind of see, all right, well, this is going to score me pretty low, so I'm going to answer higher on here. You got to answer completely honestly to get a true score. And that's
Mm.
where I fell. When they tallied up my score at the end, I fell into the bottom rung. I was severe depression. And
Yeah.
it was an eye-opening thing. Like, what what is going on here? That doesn't make any sense to me at all. It doesn't compute. Dr. John says major depressive disorder typically co-occurs with other mental health disorders. Absolutely, very
Mm.
true. The number one that it goes hand in hand with would be anxiety, if I'm not mistaken. Um, but let's go ahead and pull up real quick just for a little recap. Um, symptoms here. We have, the changes in your sleeping pattern, um, thoughts of death or suicide, the homicidal, suicidal ideation, as it's classified, usually, um, random outbursts of anger or tears. Uh, Certainly, I did, when I was walking through life before, completely unaware, I would have, your random outbursts of anger. I'm sure
Mm.
you can relate to Gemma, or maybe
Yeah.
bursting out into tears for.
Oh yeah, it'd be one minute I could be like feeling like I was fine. Next minute I could be just bursting into tears. I remember I was taking some washing in or some it was either washing or the rubbish and I dropped something. It was only something really minor. And the next thing I know, I'm on the floor with it in absolutely like floods of tears. Didn't know what was going on. It just totally it was just like that one thing just tipped me over the edge.
Right. And Bo dropped the link for us for that Beck's Depression Inventory, it looks like. So feel free to take a look at that. You can do it right at home. It takes about
Mm.
15-20 minutes. And I encourage you to answer honestly. Don't try and fudge the numbers. Uh,
Mm.
if you're at all interested in what your depression score is. And also, we should also mention that this is not a diagnostic tool. It just merely gives you a idea of where you fall on a scale. Um,
Yeah.
Certainly
Guide,
seek
I guess.
further attention from psychiatrist or medical caregiver. Um, and so, continuing on, loss of interest in enjoyable activities. This one is, I guess, this one was my big or should have been my big light bulb that something was wrong, because I certainly did have a loss of interest in activities I enjoyed. Well, just everyday activities. I like to say that it was kind of like everything I found, or I found everything to be just so mundane and not worth my time. Like stuff simple as, cleaning up the house, or even taking a shower, just simple everyday tasks that you just get to the point where it's like, what is the point of all this? You know what I'm
Mm.
saying?
Yeah.
Um, and that should have been my light bulb there. That something was, wrong, because I've always I've always found that I like to keep a clean house for the most part. It's hard with 3 kids, but what are you gonna do? Um, but also, hi Jim, thanks for the super heart. Welcome on in. Um, but finding those day to day activities to be so mundane and boring, and you'd rather just lie on the couch or lie in bed. Uh, that I guess is where my light bulb should have gone off. Uh, Continuing forward, extreme tiredness or lack of energy.
Mhm.
Again, finding yourself in bed all day, not for a medical reason, obviously. If you're on bed rest, that does not count as uh, what we're talking about here. Certainly,
Yeah.
that can put you in a depressed state, but it uh, it's talking more about finding these day to day things to be boring, mundane, just stay in bed, no energy, no appetite, and trouble focusing and concentrating. Um,
Mhm.
do you have anything to add there, Gemma?
Um, Not really with the like the things that you've mentioned. I know that I personally have experienced things. I did put in the comments we do have a similar form to you. I think it might differ slightly, but there is actually an NHS version of the self-diagnostics kind of depression and anxiety self-assessment, which you
Mm-hmm.
can do. Again, it's purely for your own, like, just to check, I guess. And if you have any further issues with it, or if it comes up showing that you have some form of depression, discuss it with your doctor. But it is there and readily available.
Awesome. 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 Okay. Just looking over the comments that I've been missing, and
Mm.
welcome on in, everybody. I'm glad to see everybody stopping by. We're going to take this one down and we'll go to the next image real quick. This just kind of is more the common types of depression or depressive disorders. Dr. John was talking earlier about major depressive disorder. That's kind of where I fall under. There's the persistent depressive disorder, just
Mm.
uh, as the name says, it's persistent. Um, not going away feeling, kind of. Um, and then bipolar. Everybody's heard of the bipolar depression disorder, manic
Mm.
depression. These are all different categories, classifications, types of depression that we could fall under. Seasonal affective disorder. You were talking about that a little bit before the broadcast. That did you have
Yeah,
something? Did you have something on that
yeah,
specifically?
seasonal.
Because that's an interesting one about the changing of the.
Yeah, it's seasonal affective disorder known as SAD. As winter depression, it says SAD is a type of depression associated with a seasonal pattern, usually related to winter. Um, it comes here. It says symptoms of SAD can include persistent low mood, loss of pleasure or interest in normal everyday activity, irritability. Pretty much the same as all the other depressions, However, it is mainly associated to like the weather, basically. There's certain seasons like cold weather, and it can be triggered more when if you've got some form of chronic pain or any sort of physical illness that is triggered by the cold weather, that can in turn start a low mood, which can be known as the seasonal affective disorder, or SAD for short.
Mhm.
There are
Awesome.
things, again, it says about medications and stuff you can take, but
And did you
obviously,
have anything there as well for the persistent depressive disorder?
yeah,
If not, that's okay. I was just curious if that site covered any.
I've seen it. I believe it's under
By the
some.
way, another credit goes out to verywellmind.com. I'm going to drop them in the comments. Just an
Mhm.
absolutely excellent website for um, all of this information. I get a lot of when I do research for a show to kind of brush up on my end of things for
Mm.
presenting some information. I use verywellmind.com a lot. Um, Dropping them in the comments for you. It's a great site.
Yeah. With this one, with the persistent
Mm-hmm.
depression, it says that usually this will be diagnosed after so many months of reoccurring depression. Um, Again, it says it's making it almost impossible to get through daily life. People with this form of depression may also have psychotic symptoms. It's not saying that you will. It can after a while, but it's to be diagnosed with something like that. It states here that it's usually after about 8 months of continuous symptoms, and it can cause symptoms such as psychosis, hallucinations, things like that. But generally, by then, you will be diagnosed with the depression, and if it continues after the antidepressants as well, it can be it can be diagnosed after that. And it says here in very big bold, psychosis is not the same as psychopath, and not to be confused. It's saying that psychosis can be an acute condition, and if treated, can lead to a full recovery. And it's just related to the depressive side of the diagnosis.
Thank you very much. And Dr. John mentioned it lasts over 2 years, which is why it's persistent. So
Hmm.
it spans a good deal of time there.
Yeah.
Asha also mentioned or asked in the comments if this is like PTSD. Not really. PTSD we have done an episode on earlier. Um, that is going to be more about your traumatic events in life that resonate in your brain and don't get filed away. That they're
Yeah.
always in the now, and like the good memories, you can timestamp them and file them away. Um, these traumatic events, they stay situated always in the now, um, and that is why you can always kind of recall um, these events as if even though it's
Mm.
10 years down the road, you can still think about them as if they were yesterday because they just don't get filed
Yeah.
away. They're always in the now. So
Well,
that's
some of the
more.
things I'd been through were certainly one of them is a good 20 years ago now, and I can remember things from that as if it was like 5 minutes ago. Whereas some of the other things, like literally what I did this morning, I can't remember. And the best way to determine between the two, PTSD is specific to a traumatic event that's happened, whereas the depression in general, like you can have depression and have absolutely no idea why you're depressed.
That's very true. Um, or to go a step further, even know that you are depressed, as I
Yeah.
seemed to fall under,
Mhm.
walking around and I'm still just amazed
Yeah.
by it. Walking around completely clueless that I was severely
Mhm.
depressed.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, that's why we do the counseling, get the help needed to understand what's going on inside of you. You
Mhm.
know, that is first and foremost. If you're going to make any kind of steps towards a recovery or a healthier lifestyle or a healthier you, you have to first understand what's going on inside of you, right?
Mhm.
We've mentioned that before,
Yeah.
and it's paramount. There's no way that you can start down any kind of road to a healthier you until you know what you're dealing with. And
Yeah.
so when I laugh, that I was walking cluelessly around with severe depression, I laugh out of just sheer amazement about how very little I knew about myself. Uh, that I walking around with blinders on. Fred, what's going on? Welcome on into the broadcast. Um, so with all this being said, get a little recap from the first episode. Um, the only thing I did not touch on that I talked about in episode 2 was lateral processing of emotions.
Mm.
This can be a very dumbed down way of explaining. It's almost too simple when you think about it. So lateral processing of emotions is when you take. Here's just the basic, the very nitty gritty of it. If you're feeling sadness, across that emotions wheel is the opposite, which would be joy, right? So
Mm.
you want to laterally process by doing something that brings joy to you. And this will in turn, get you feeling more joyful. Uh,
Mm.
I know it sounds completely, what's the word, simple, um, but it is a legit thing. Lateral processing of emotions, and if you want to hear more about it, I encourage you to look at episode 2. I talk about it a good bit. There's even a little diagram. Before I knew how to work this, so it was hand drawn. um, but anyway, so we'll go through some ideas and some ways that we can stay on a correct path here of living with this depression. Now we know what it is, and we know we have it, and we're learning a little bit more about it. Uh, how do we go forth and live day to day? How do we get back on, cleaning the house and um, uh, taking a shower every day and not finding everything to be so mundane? Well, you know how everything we've covered so far, it seems the first thing that you can do for yourself to better the situation is exercise. It is not
Mm.
my favorite thing in the world.
Oh, no, not at all. I can't.
I mean, I'll get behind taking a walk, uh, you know, simple things like that. But it, every time I hear exercise, I'm thinking they want you to go out for a half hour to an hour jog. Uh, I'm not down with all that. I'm too old. it, um, but exercising, eating right, and adequate sleep. So there's
It's
your
not
top.
great as well if you have chronic pain, exercise, like.
Yes, that's true.
Mm.
Exercising, eating right, and adequate sleep. Okay,
Yeah.
let's look at this.
All of the 3 things that I do not do.
Right, exactly. And a fireman's
Mhm.
schedule doesn't always uh,
Yep.
allow for this as well. Uh, I'm not always eating the healthiest. Firehouse meals are usually heavy and delicious. So you measure. I once heard that you measure the how delicious a meal was by the calories. So that the calorie doesn't serve any purpose but to tell you how excellent the meal is going to be. Knowledge. You got everybody. And so I'm not big into exercise. I don't always eat the best.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be really hard to try and get 10 guys on my shift to all be down with eating um, a salad with feta cheese on top or whatever. You know what I'm saying? When the other option is fried chicken and baked mac and cheese. Uh,
For sure, yeah.
and then adequate sleep, you can throw that out the window. I mean, you guys have seen me on here at all hours of the night, all hours of the day. Um, I do sleep. I get adequate sleep. It's just I am on a very screwed up schedule for sleep like that, and that's part of the job. Um, but I've been used to that. I mean, that's been the past 14 years of my life. So
Mm.
I do want to preface that by saying I do get sleep, and I do sleep adequately. It's just not it's not the regular 9 to 5 lifestyle for me as it is for most. Um, Gemma, I know you have quite the sleep schedule. Would you like to share a day in the life?
Oh gosh, like yeah, I I think I'd got better actually after Periscope went for a little while, and then yeah, along came Haps and all, meeting people that are in different time zones, and I I can't function without quite a bit of sleep because I have chronic pain and other things, and I get very, very tired. Now I think certainly if I didn't have a child, my sleep would entail going to bed around 5, 6 o'clock in the morning and remaining there till about 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, if I was allowed to do that. But I find certainly lately I've been going to bed around 5, 6 o'clock, having to get up around 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, sorting out whatever needs sorting, then having a bit of an afternoon nap if my son's quiet. But it certainly doesn't feel adequate enough for me at the moment. But then a lot of that's to do with the chronic pain and everything that I'm in, and the medication, which is also known to drain you and make you feel tired. Certainly the ones I'm on anyway. So it can be quite difficult and can disturb your sleep. And certainly here in the UK, you can't go out and readily get melatonin, for example. It is on a controlled prescription because I'm going to have to get some of that for my son because he's got himself into a bit of a terrible sleep pattern with his chemo and everything. So they're going to prescribe some of that just before he goes to school. But because I am a single mum, they won't give me anything to help me sleep just in case I can't wake up if he needs me through the night. So, yeah, you do. And it's not just a regular prescription, it's a controlled prescription. So you can't get more than a week at a time. Just, you have to have a week, see how it goes. Like, certainly with Thomas, I had a week, go back, and then they give me another week. But it certainly didn't work for Thomas for more than 2 weeks. I think I got for the very first time he was on it, I got another week at higher dose, slightly reduced with how it was working. But yeah, it's very different here with the things.
That is something interesting, the melatonin situation there. But then
Mm.
again, they can get prescription painkillers over here that are over the counter over there. So I mean, there's just a different
Codeine,
balance.
yeah,
Yeah,
big
codeine.
codeine over here. It's only the 8,500. If you want anything stronger than the 8,500, cocodamol, or codeine. It's cocodamol you can buy, and it's the 8,500 dose that you can buy over the counter.
Yes. So yeah, I found that was interesting when you first told me that melatonin was a prescription. Over here, it's like an herbal supplement or something. It's a
Yeah, there's
natural.
something else that I bought over there as well when I came, and I was like, "You can buy this at the counter?"
Yeah.
Mm.
So we're the two of us. We're already in the hole, right? Not eating great, not sleeping great, not
Yep.
exercising great. Yes.
Mhm.
But there are other ways
Oh yeah.
to live. So some other things that I found, and then we'll get into you had found
Mhm.
some things to go over. Just a couple here off the top that I personally like. Journaling. I've touted the importance of
Mm.
journaling on this show
Yeah,
several times before.
I do
Uh,
that too.
More specifically for depression and living
Mm.
and managing depression, recurring thoughts, negative thoughts, uh, stuff that keeps coming up in your head. You want to jot that down and keep an accurate log of how often these negative thoughts, show up and come into play. And while you log that down over the course of a week or two, start noticing any cognitive distortions that fall into the or fall into the category of cognitive distortions rather. um, if you're unfamiliar or don't remember cognitive distortions, we did back in our episode on CBT, which there will be more CBT episodes to come because that's such a broad topic and actually probably one of the most helpful tools for depression
Mm.
in of itself. Um, but you're basically going to take those distortions, these thoughts that aren't true, just flat out aren't true, but somehow you've gotten to believing are true. And you're going to put those thoughts on trial, and you're going to try to at least discredit these thoughts and reframe them into
Mhm.
something more adequate, something that is actually true. So I'm talking about, you're I'm no good, I'm a failure. Um, these types of
People
thoughts.
don't like me.
People don't exactly.
I'm very good at that, and you're very good at telling me that it's BS and stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
I have to do that pretty much daily with you, right?
More or less, yeah.
Yeah. But that's good though, because these are the thoughts though that I'm talking about
Mhm.
that you should try journaling down and journal down. Well, Tim said again to me today that I this is not true
Yeah.
and oh
And you go out of your way to try and prove me wrong. It's like it's a competition now, but I do like that. And then as I mentioned to someone in the comments, you can, if you're not good at journaling, I tend to do it. There's some apps you can get on the phone. They're free. And every day it'll ask you how you're feeling, just smiley faces. You can get things from really basic, how you're feeling, and then you've got to pick from symptoms and stuff to actually being able to type stuff as well. So they're really good.
looking at the comments here, Bud's taught me the mind is the most powerful tool in your arsenal, but it can be the most dangerous. How
Very true.
very true is that?
Oh yeah.
Your brain will do everything it can to bring you down sometimes. And why is that the case? Like you would think that this this brain of yours would be on your side. Well, not, more often than not, it seems like it's the leading cause of our anxiety, depression issues, and the likes. Um, the cognitive the cognitive is what is your real feelings from what was untrue. Explore the 10 cognitive distortions from Aaron Beck or David Burns. Yes. We do have back in the CBT episode there we go through all the cognitive distortions, the top 10 as you were saying there. I think we had 11, but they break them down and next thing you know you've got 50 of them. So I mean it all depends on. I'm with Dr. John here. I like the list of 10. It's nice and easy. It's
Mm.
thought provoking enough, and we'll keep on knocking your cognitive distortions out of the park as long as they keep coming along, Gemma.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
So yeah,
It's
we're
good if you can have someone to talk to and do that with as well. I
oh,
find that
absolutely,
helpful.
absolutely, and that brings us into therapy,
Mhm.
counseling. So I kind of wanted to touch on counseling and medicine uh, at the same time because here's two things that are that they're great tools. Sorry, blanked out there. They're great tools for uh, managing our depression day to day. Medications, antidepressants, SSRIs, and
Mm.
then counseling on top of it. These are both uh, things that you're going to have to stick with, and um, you have to shop around and find what's right for you, for your body, for your mind.
Mhm.
I can't stress enough. Obviously, you want to do this with the help of a psychiatrist, preferably, because they deal in the brain. They prescribe medicine for the brain. Um, your primary care physician, general practitioner, he is capable of prescribing you antidepressants, but does not have the working knowledge of the brain like a psychiatrist does. So, that being said, they're probably just going to give you whatever it is that they give everybody. And that
Mm.
might not be what's best for you. So, following up with a psychiatrist, getting the initial prescription from a psychiatrist, laying it all out for them is
Mhm.
really the key here to trying to find the successful medication for you.
Yeah.
Um, that is huge because along the same lines as counseling, you're not always going to jive with the first medication or the first counselor that you get. Uh, you might not have a good working relationship with your first counselor. And I can't tell you how many times people have come to me and said counseling is bullshit. It doesn't do anything for me. It's just a waste of money and I'm not getting anything out of it. Well, then you need to reevaluate your therapist or your counselor because I was feeling that same exact way with my first counselor. And
Mhm.
of course, I wasn't ready to give up alcohol. I wasn't ready to take this walk down this path. So my brain wasn't there. Um, and I was trying to find anything wrong that I could. So on top of not wanting to be there, thinking it was bullshit from the get go, and why do I even have to do this? I didn't really have a good working relationship with the counselor. I'm not saying you want to be best buds, but you kind of want to be best buds. Like you want to be able to share and open up with this person, whoever it may be, and feel comfortable talking to seemingly this complete stranger about what's going on in the deep down part of you. Um, and if you don't have that with a counselor, then of course, you're not going to take anything out of it. You need to find the therapist that works for you. Shop around. Don't be afraid to uh, uh, not necessarily dump your counselor, but
Yeah.
say, "Hey, this is not working, and I'm going to go find somebody else."
Yeah, you're not gonna wanna spill your entire life story to someone that you just don't click with. It'd be like meeting just some person, like, in real life. If you don't gel with them, you're not just gonna tell them all of your personal details if it doesn't feel right. You need to make sure that the way to see, I guess, a counselor is in a way, even though they're not, it's like a friend that you can trust to talk to about that. Because if it's somebody that you don't gel with, you're not just going to spill your guts to them, are you? So you need to be able to build that relationship with them, build that trust, and then like start found like certainly with me, I found when I was going to counselors, I was giving them some of the smaller stuff that I'd been through in a way of testing how they dealt with that and what they said to me. And then if I was like, if they came and said something I thought, oh, that's fine, then I gave them some more information and some more kind of to test the waters with them. And then if I thought that what they were saying was okay, then I'd be like, yeah, okay, I'll tell you some more. But there's been a number of counselors I've had, and I've thought, I ain't even going to work with you because it's just like, no. And a lot of the, certainly like the things that I'd been through with the rape and stuff, I thought, I'm not going to start telling someone I've just met that I've been raped and all the horrific details that I've been with, because I don't want to bring that up if I don't think that you're going to be able to help me. So I started with the smaller stuff that I, in my heart of hearts and in my mind, I kind of dealt with, but I wanted to see how they dealt with it. And then if I thought, right, okay, I can trust them with that, and if they dealt with it good, in the way, if I felt they dealt with it good, then I was able to give them a little bit more and a bit more. So it was like kind of spoon feeding them bits that I wanted them to know before I got onto the hard stuff that I found difficult to deal with, because I wasn't prepared to give them that until I knew that we could work together with that.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, it reiterates the absolute necessity that is finding somebody that you jive with.
Hmm.
Dr. John summed it up pretty well. The most important aspect to therapy is the clinician-client relationship. Uh, that I can't think of a better way to sum that up. And the same thing goes for your antidepressants. Um, what works for me might not work for the next guy. Um, it may be that my chemical balance on sertraline and gabapentin, whatever insert drugs here, is not going to work for Bo. Let's just call Bo out.
Yeah.
Um, or Gemma,
Mhm.
Uh, so I do take sertraline,
Mhm.
and I, I was not initially prescribed sertraline, um, but through a lot of trial and error and getting these medications to jive with each other, and with my body, um, we found a good fit with sertraline, and some others. Of course, throw into the mix that I completely screwed up some of my organs, so I'm on medication for that. So everything kind of intermingles with each other, and it's all about finding the right combination almost. So again, shopping around. If you don't feel like you're getting something out of a certain medication, go back to your psychiatrist. And I say psychiatrist again because it's so important for me to get that across, that uh, these people are trained in the brain. Um, and you wouldn't, if your car is malfunctioning, you're not going to take that to the bowling alley, right? Because
Mhm.
there's a guy there that resets the pins and knows how to tune up the car. You want to take it to a legit mechanic. Um, Same thing here. You need to talk to a psychiatrist here. That is my personal opinion. Take it or leave it, but these are some pretty heavy uh, daily drugs that can make or break the success in managing this depression day to day. If Dr. John has anything else to add on that particular, um, I would please throw it in the comments. But yes, a psychiatrist to me is paramount for this type of thing. Your primary care physician is great, and but like I've said before, I mean he's basically like a jack of all trades, master of none. Like he knows the whole
Yeah.
body. You know, he can take care of the whole body. Um, the psychiatrist is focused basically just not basically, but just on your brain. Um, one of the other things that I had written down, and then we'll get with Gemma, was this is the last I had, was that I thought was interesting. Limit rumination. And what is rumination? This is that persistent rehashing. There's Dr. John agreed. Psychiatric physicians know the area well. Exactly. Anyway, rumination, rehashing those moments, that Monday morning quarterback, rehash over and over and over in your head. That's rumination. You know, I could have done this better. Damn it, why didn't I think of this? Blah 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 blah, over and over and over again. It's just always, it's going to bring you down. It's going to increase the wants to drink, do drugs, find any way to get that out of your head, and restore the mindfulness of everything. Great thing, primary care, you can give a referral. We have a cat.
He should not be in here. He's taking liberties.
Okay, that was all I had. What did you have there, Gemma? Just for mother.
A lot of that. I want to second what you say about the GP or doctors for prescribing antidepressants, which is why I'm not on any at the moment, because I'm trying to get back into the system so that I can get some proper ones that work for me again. I did drop off them like quite a while ago, and then I was given some other ones by the GP here, and as a result they were not working. Some of them were messing other medications and things up, and I really need to get back into the hospital route so that I can get the proper prescription that I need. So it's not that I don't want to take them, it's that it's the ones that I was given were not right for me at the time, or had too many side effects. But the list that I was looking at, I'm using the one specific for, well, it's on the NHS website for NHS England at the moment. It does mention like medication, diet and exercise, mindfulness, documenting things that help. And as I mentioned before, hey Lucia,
Hi, Lucia.
I mentioned before about the apps and stuff that can just either they're just tracking your mood, so you can see if there's a bit of a pattern to it. Certainly with women as well. There's an app that it can ask if it's like a particular time of the month and stuff like that, if there's any sort of effects with that. And sometimes it just helps to track your mood, even with just choosing how you feel. You can put other details as well if something specific has happened. And then it says about, there's a big thing here on work and finances, and how whilst some people will take time off work for this, it does say that sometimes taking off prolonged time from work can actually do more harm than good, because you're getting out of the swing of the normal routine. And I know from experience, being stuck at home, especially during the lockdown, as I'm sure you can all relate, being stuck in the house all the time is absolutely no good for your mental health. Gives information about different things, about how to look after people. There's some links and stuff here that I can pop in afterwards as well. But
Absolutely.
yeah, you've pretty much covered all the things as well. They all pretty much agree across the platform, wherever you are in the world, because depression can affect anybody from all walks of life, from anywhere in the world.
Yes.
It really has. Like the waiting lists for anything related to mental health has more than tripled,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's insane. It
Absolutely.
really is.
And that was something um, that actually Lucia and I were talking about way back when I first started here. Um,
Mm,
how the pandemic has affected uh, mental health across the entire planet. Like it is so well. I guess in a way, there was some good to come out of it as far as getting into different places
mm,
a lot quicker. But then on this end of the spectrum, the mental health side of things, like you just said, it has really, slowed
yeah.
progression on this end.
Hmm.
Plus, not to mention, the pandemic itself is causing a great deal um, of mental health on top of what we're already dealing with. And here's Lucy. It hasn't started yet. When the health crisis is over, the mental health crisis will be huge. Yes. Um, it just our businesses are swamped. Yes. Can we take the last few minutes to talk about Tim's soul patch? There's Bo. Oh, Bo. Um, even more people who won't accept at first they have any type of issue. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like that's where we started tonight. Was a do you even are you even aware that there's an issue, and B, uh, can you accept it? Uh, and so, like I said earlier, Lucia, I was talking about when I found out about my depression. It just did not compute in my brain that I was depressed. It did
Hmm.
not. I did not fathom the fact, and not only did I not fathom that I was depressed,
No.
but to learn that I was severely depressed
Worry.
after taking the Bex Depression Inventory, I just my mind was blown. So trying to then move towards accepting that fact and then move towards trying to fix it or live with it. You're not really going to fix it, obviously, but you got to live with it, cope with it, manage it, and become one with it. This is
Mm,
you. This is who you are. I am Tim. I am severely depressed. I'm an alcoholic. I have anxiety. I have PTSD,
yeah.
and this is now me. This is my life, and now I'm going to move forward, and I'm going to try and live the best life I can with said diagnoses. Um, and I'm going to do it with a soul patch. You can be depressed and not know. Oh, Ella. I was floored when I found out that I was depressed. Um, it not only, I mean, I guess like I knew here. Let me throw this back up.
I can relate as well. I didn't realize for a long time initially that I was depressed. I just thought it was the norm to feel like that.
Yeah,
Can't
and
be
of
good.
course I was throwing. Excuse me. I was doing everything to mask it
Yeah.
without realizing it. I was drinking. Uh, I was smoking cigarettes. I was um, just anything I could think of to try that wasn't a healthy uh, outlet to try and mask this pain that was inside that I didn't realize was there because you walk around thinking everything is fine. And like you said, Gemma, it was the norm at the
Mm,
time. Um,
yeah.
but all of these different symptoms here, um, I can actually go back now and be like, Wow, yeah, I guess I kind of did fall into that category, and oh yeah, my appetite wasn't the greatest, and certainly, like I said before, the eye opener was um, the loss of interest in enjoyable activities. Um, that should have been my big key, because I just found everything to be so mundane and not interested in things. Um, just looking back at it now, yeah, Ella, it seems kind of silly to have not known, but at the time, I mean, I was living my life as if that was all normal.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I mean, just a real nitty gritty rundown of how we can live and manage our depression. There will be more episodes to come. Depression hits home to a lot of folks. Thank you, everybody, for
Mm.
the awards. Lucia, Dr. John, Rada, and Jim in Chicagoland. Let's do a quick recap. Um, do you have anything to add before we wrap her up, Gemma?
No, I just keep checking the form. I put it in the comments a couple of times that if anybody wants to ask anything anonymously, we have the Google Docs form. It is completely confidential. Not even me or Tim will know who sent it unless you put your name on. But then you could lie about your name if you really wanted to as well. And that way you can send us questions if you want to, or anything you want to add. We can read it out. I've always got it open behind so I can see. I want to move this cat because he's trying to steal my food. There we go. Sorry. He was asking for that. Um, but oh no, you don't have to give any gifts at all. Just being here is absolutely all
Yes,
that's needed. Just being
absolutely.
here, commenting, watching, that's all that's required. That's more than enough.
And keep the conversation going.
Yeah, for
If
sure.
you
Just
enjoy
being
this
here.
content, then share it out, and
Yeah.
uh, you can catch Lucia's broadcast. Be kind to your mind
Hmm.
on her channel. She does a weekly one as well. Um, and then tonight, I will be doing a special broadcast with Joseph Burke Arts, or Joseph Burke. Uh, as you know him from the art community here on HAPS, he's doing a special tonight called Coping with Chronic Illness, The Warrior
Mm,
Within, or Heart of a Warrior.
yeah.
Um,
I can relate to
he's
that.
asked me to be on the panel there, and we're going to discuss similar issues
Yeah.
with chronic
Certainly
illness.
chronic health conditions and things can really affect your mental health. And I'd say that's how I didn't know that I was depressed. Before the PTSD things happened and everything, I had been depressed for many, many years and not known. It just felt like it was normal. Like, well, like, isn't that how everybody feels?
Mm,
It wasn't until I'd taken the questions. We have them over here. I linked it in the comments for the one that's relatable for UK. But they're probably all the same kind of questions. But it's like when they told me that it wasn't just depression, but it was severe clinical depression, and I'm like, what? How? And like certainly because of my health, and it gets where I I personally feel like I'm just going to the doctors now and collecting conditions and collecting labels. And every time I go with another complaint, it's like, oh, what are they going to give me this time? What am I going to get labeled with this time? And it's just ridiculous. Now, this is from based on my own personal experience of what I've dealt with here, but certainly I've found from my experience, if you have a condition that isn't textbook or isn't something that you could say x-ray and see or just look at you and see, some doctors, not all, some doctors will automatically go down the mental health route then and try and, I guess, say that it's related to that, because some doctors, which is why it's best to go to an actual specialist for your mental health, will think, oh, let's just give them a generic antidepressant and that will be fine. It isn't always. The mind is a very complex thing, as is the body, and unless you get the right help for it, taking pills is going to do nothing. As I've found with the pills and the medication I'm on, it's actually caused more harm than good by being on certain medications. Certainly I've been on morphine and fentanyl for a long time, and it has wrecked my body. Was there other things I could have had before? Probably. But I don't know. It is what it is now. But yeah, I think certainly the more that we talk about it and open up about it and show that it's not something that has to be hidden away and is a taboo subject anymore, the more that people will be aware of it. And if you do suspect that there's anything not quite right, as I say, there are places, both me and Tim have put them in the comments, the questions that you can do, but it's not a diagnosis. So if you do those and it comes up suggesting you might have depression of any kind, definitely take further advice from a doctor. Sorry.
Absolutely.
Um,
Yeah, use the information we present here and
mhm.
the forms that we send out
Yeah.
as just tools in your toolbox, and it is not a diagnostic tool. It is strictly just to open your eyes up a little bit if you care to, and um, and then seek out further help through professional. Absolutely. So, yeah. That being said, like I said, we got uh, coping with chronic illness tonight on Joseph Burke's channel. Uh, I'll be on that panel at 9 p.m. Eastern. And then, of course, we round out the every Wednesday evening with the Fire Pit and Jim in Chicagoland uh, with Catalyst, his weekly Fire Pit. Come join in, 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Basically, a great way to just middle of the week decompress, let some things off your chest. He fields any and all comments, and it's a great time. It's a great Wednesday program that he brings to the HAPS community. So, and there's the cat again.
Do you want a cat, Bo? Like, seriously? I have two you can have.
I'll let you guys sort that out. On behalf of Gemma and myself, thank you guys again for tuning in. As always, please feel free to drop us an email or hit up our form for any questions that you'd like
It's
answered on
all
the
there.
show.
Posted it. Bio.link TMHH. That's all you have to type in. And
Yep.
everything's there. All the social links, the forms, everything. All the magic's there.
And we will see you again next Wednesday for another edition of the Mental Health Hour. Thank you so much for joining. Bye.